Hello. Since I'm in the sling, I've been taking a lot of walks, and I was just thinking about something that I want to share with you. So I'm making this coaching video. And what I've been thinking about is imbalances, because obviously right now I have a big imbalance in my body. I think I had an imbalance that kind of led to this injury. It's not the reason for it, but I think I might have been a bit more susceptible to injuring my right shoulder versus my left. And this is actually a very good time of year to think about the imbalances that you probably have in your own body. I'm sure everyone has some type of imbalance. And we all live with these imbalances. They're not a bad thing, and many of them cannot be changed and maybe should not be changed. But maybe some of them are contributing to poor form or pain, and this is a very good time of year to address those things for multiple reasons, and I will tell you about those reasons later in this video. But first, let me explain what my imbalance is and the reasons for it. So when I first injured my shoulder, one of my physical therapists noticed that my left side, like my shoulder, my upper back, all those muscles were much better developed than my right side, and I injured my right side. And he asked me, "Are you right-handed?" And I said yes. And he was like, that's kind of odd, because usually when people are right-handed, that side has better developed muscles. And then that got me thinking. And I think the reason that my left side was better developed and stronger is because I was born with a bad left knee. And so my whole life, from when I was a very young child, even up until now, even though I got a few operations to try to fix this problem, it's still a bad knee, and it still bothers me on pretty much a daily basis. And so I've been favoring my right leg my whole life. And so my right leg muscles are literally bigger than my left leg muscles. Like, you can see it, there's a difference. And so my right lower body has always been stronger. And I think that that's the reason my body just kind of naturally made my left upper body stronger. Because if it had made my right upper body stronger, if I had a right lower body stronger, then that's like stronger on the right side and then weaker on the left side, and that's a huge imbalance. So my body was actually trying to balance itself out. This ultimately probably made me more susceptible to injury. So now I'm going to tell you about another story, and this was on a podcast I was listening today. It was a cycling podcast, and they were talking about neck issues. And he was saying that his neck issues, he would get migraines, and he realized that his migraines were always on one side of his head. His neck issues were always on one side of his neck, same side. And he, after many years, realized his migraines were being triggered by his neck. So he was trying to fix his neck problem for years, and it wasn't really getting better. And then recently he went to a physical therapist or somebody, and they noticed that his feet were very different. One foot had a lot more rotation, the other foot was maybe a little bit smaller. And he realized, like, okay, because your feet are kind of uneven your whole life, your body's been compensating for that. It's traveled up into your hips. You have some differences in your hips. That goes into your lower back. That goes into your upper back. That affects your neck, which ultimately gave you these migraines. So really, his migraines were coming from his feet. So I encourage you to think about your body as a whole system. So something in your feet could affect your head. And if you're trying to fix one thing, think about the other things that could be affecting that. As I mentioned earlier, this is actually a fantastic time of the year to start thinking about these things. You're coming off of the summer season, you have a lot of biking in your legs, it's getting cold, you don't want to bike outside as much, you just don't want to bike as much, you're probably a little tired, so maybe you bike less, you're not biking with much intensity, you're going back into that base training, and you have more time to do other things, and you maybe have a little bit more energy to devote to harder training off the bike. So this is a great time for going back to the base building on the bike and really thinking about your form and really developing good habits. So rather than trying to self-diagnose these balances, I think it's much better to work with someone and have somebody else help you. And I recently went to a physical therapist. They identified a couple issues in my hips, and now we're working on that, and that also has to do with my knee. And I'm really glad I'm working on these things now, because eventually I am going to go back to weight training. I'm going to start lifting heavy weights. But if I did that with these imbalances, I'm basically just going to cement really poor form and bad habits. So now is the time to work on these fundamentals, set good habits, then ramp up. Think about your body as a whole system. Correct those imbalances. Work with a physical therapist or a good personal trainer who can train your body to fire in correct ways, train the neuromuscular connections, and then you can start ramping up and building on that.